learn about describing people in English. A couple of weeks ago, we did a lesson on describing people in English, and we went over about 30 different adjectives to describe people. And today we're going to look at 30 more. Actually, I think it's 28 more. But today's lesson is on describing people, part 2. There will be a part 3 as well sometime in the future. Let me just check to make sure everything is working. Did a lesson on, there I am on my computer talking. So again, welcome to everybody who is in the chat. I am Bob the Canadian. We are going to do a lesson right now on describing people, and we're going to start with the word ambitious. So ambitious is a bit of a challenging word to pronounce. I'll say it again for you, ambitious. So when someone is ambitious, they have a lot of energy. They get a lot done. They make really big plans for the future. So I found a picture of this girl, and she has blueprints in her hand. She has a hard hat on. She looks like she's going to get a lot of work done today. She looks very, very ambitious. People who are ambitious, they'll have like multiple projects going at the same time. So an ambitious person makes a lot of plans, does the work, and gets a lot done. Sometimes people say that I'm an ambitious person. I tend to have a lot on the go sometimes. When you have a lot on the go, it means that you are busy. Again, hello to everyone. I see all of you in the chat saying hi. Thank you very much. We are doing a lesson today on describing people. This is part 2. If you want to see part 1, I will put a link to that in the description. We just looked at ambitious, but I think we all know someone who is artistic. So an artistic person is someone who loves to paint or draw. I am not an artistic person at all. I am the opposite of an artistic person, but an artistic person loves creating art. So they love painting, they love drawing, they love sketching. They probably paint with watercolors or oil paints. They probably sketch in pencil, but an artistic person, this person has an easel. You can see they have an easel here, and they have a canvas on the easel, and I'm sure their paints are all on this, and I don't know the name of it, and they have a paintbrush in their hand. So an artistic person is someone who loves to create art. I think the world is a far better place because we have artistic people. And again, not me. I am not artistic at all. So the third word we have is blunt. So if you know someone who is blunt, a person who is blunt tells you the truth all the time. So here's a good example. If I asked, what do you think of my hair today? A blunt person would say, your hair's kind of messy, Bob the Canadian. It's kind of sticking out on this side. So a blunt person doesn't care about your feelings necessarily. They just tell it like it is. They just tell you the truth. So, hey, Bob, your hair looks a little messy this morning. You need a haircut. That's what a blunt person would say. If someone wasn't blunt, they would probably say, oh, your hair looks fine. But a blunt person would definitely just point at the hair and say, your hair looks messy. I think I need to shave a little bit too. So, anyways, the way this works is if you have questions during the lesson, you can ask them in the chat. There is a link. Sorry, don't ask them in the chat. Todd will post a link in the chat, and I will jump over to the questions and I will answer them as we go along. I'm going to take a couple of them right now. First one is from Henry from Taiwan. And Henry says, hi, Bob. Great that you're back. Thanks, Henry. You are a hardworking teacher, and so we will be diligent students. That's awesome. Hope you have recovered from the cold. Thank you. So, yes, I have recovered from the cold for the most part, but you might be able to hear it still that I have just a tiny bit of a stuffed up nose and a sore throat. So I brought the biggest glass of water I could find. so that I can take sips of water. But thanks, Henry. Let's look at the next question. Let's see here. Gaga says, from Vietnam, hi Gaga, have you eaten breakfast? Yes. I heard that Canadians are friendly and sociable. Is that right? I have seen it in you. I think a lot of us are friendly, but we aren't perfect people. There are definitely times when I'm not friendly, and there's definitely times when Canadians are not friendly. But I think overall Canadians are fairly friendly. Let's see here. I'm going to go to this question. Is a little off topic, Eunice. I'll answer it quickly. Hi Bob, how are you? What's the difference between depreciation and amortization? So these are financial questions. When you buy something, it loses value every year, and that's depreciation. Amortization is when you pay for something over time. But anyways, back to the topic of describing people. The next description is brilliant. So brilliant is usually used to describe light, like the sun can be brilliant. So it kind of means bright, but we also use it to describe people who are really, really smart. So a really smart person you could describe as brilliant. So I have a few students right now that I'm teaching, and I think they're brilliant. When we do different lessons and when we do different activities in class, they're just really you can tell that they're very, very intelligent people. So I would describe them as being brilliant. So people who become scientists, people who become rocket scientists are usually brilliant people. They're usually, and we do say bright as well. So if you say someone is bright, it means that they're smart. If you say that someone is brilliant, it means that they are smart. And I'll pronounce it one more time for you. Brilliant, brilliant. So make sure the L's are a hard L sound. Don't pronounce it, if you're French, don't make it a Y sound. It's brilliant, okay? Next word, competent. When someone is competent, it means that they are good at their job. It means that they're on time for work every day. It means that they do their job well all the time. So you can expect them to do a good job every single day that they are at work. So a competent, I'm assuming this person cleaning the windows is competent. He needs to make sure that the ropes that he's using are in perfect condition. He needs to be competent in order to be safe. So a competent person is someone who is really good at their job. Bosses are always looking for competent people. If you can hire competent workers, then they will get a lot done and it will be good for your business. So I think a lot of you are competent. Lolly says, Bob the Canadian is competent. I try, Lolly. I try to be a competent person, for sure. Anyways, let me repeat it for you. Competent. I hope that you guys are very competent as well. These kind of people are awesome. If you are considerate, a considerate person is a very kind person, but they're kind all the time, and they do things like a considerate person would send you a get well soon card if you were in the hospital or you were sick. Henry earlier asked if I was feeling better. So Henry is a considerate person because he was thinking about me, and he was thinking about the fact that I was sick, and because he is considerate, he asked how I was doing. So often considerate people will send you a thank you note, or they will send you a nice email saying, I really appreciated the work that you did. Many of you are very considerate people because in my comments, you often let me know that you think I'm doing a good job or that you thank me for helping you learn English. So a considerate person, I think in the basic sense, a considerate person says thank you a lot. So that's what a considerate person is. Hey, we're almost at 400 people. Welcome to this lesson on describing people. This is part 2. You can search YouTube for the part 1. And if you are new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. And if you guys give me a thumbs up during this lesson, that would be awesome. Let's check see if there are more questions. Let's see here. So Saeed has a question. Saeed's question is, hi Bob, good morning. What is a multiracial person, and do you have any other words for this? So first of all, in Canada, many people are multiracial. So that means that your parents are from two completely different parts of the world or two completely different ethnic backgrounds. It's very normal in Canada. And I don't think we have another word for it, although because it's very normal, we don't often label people as multiracial. We just label them as people. So in Canada, there are just people from every part of the world. Toronto is an amazing city if you ever have a chance to go there. If you go to Toronto, you will see people from every part of the world, for sure. Lolly says, Lolly, hi Bob, a blunt person doesn't tell white lies, right? A blunt person doesn't lie much at all. They just tell you the truth all the time. So that's, let's see here. Next one. Can't pronounce this name. Marcelivinsky. Hello, Bob the Canadian. What is your personality? Well, I like to think that I am kind and helpful, but I'm also sometimes grouchy and grumpy. I would say overall though, my personality is, I would say I'm quite optimistic. So I see things in a good light all the time. Let's do one more question and we'll get back to the lesson. This one is from, I clicked something wrong here. Inaz says, what is the best word to describe people who have the ultimate dream? I would say they're ambitious. That very first word we did. Someone who, wants to become very, very successful and has really big dreams and is working hard to get there. I would say they are ambitious. That would be probably the best way to describe them. Okay, next word. Dramatic. So someone who is dramatic is the opposite of calm. So a dramatic person, I put a picture of a child crying here because sometimes children can be quite dramatic. A dramatic person, when something happens, they react, they're like, oh, it's the end of the world. And everything that is bad that happens to them, even if it's a small thing, they overreact. So a dramatic person reacts in the extreme. So maybe they get bad news, and instead of saying, oh, well, that's too bad, they actually start crying. Maybe when somebody does something to them that they don't like, they're like, oh, this is crazy. This person was not nice to me. I'm waving my hands because dramatic people wave their hands a lot. But the basic description would be a dramatic person overreacts. So the reaction they have to something, the emotions they feel are way stronger than they need to be. So Lolly says, I'm a dramatic person. Yeah, so a dramatic person overreacts a bit. Dramatic people though are very cool because they give you a really good sense of what's going on. We also have a person can be described as being distant. So when someone is distant, it doesn't mean they're far away from you, right? Like I could travel to a distant city. That means the city is far from me. When a person is distant, it means that they don't talk to you a lot. They kind of like to be by themselves. So you might ask them questions about how their day is going, and they just say, okay, yeah, the day's going okay. They're very closed, they're very quiet, and we would describe that person as being distant. So a distant person definitely likes to spend time by themselves. A distant person doesn't like to have conversations all the time. So you might know someone who's quite distant. When you have a fight with someone, when you have an argument with someone, they can often become distant, okay? So let's say you have a fight with a good friend and you call them a bad name. They might become quite distant in the sense that they won't want to talk to you, okay? So they'll be quiet, they'll stay away from you, they'll ignore you a little bit. So that's what happens with a distant person. Let's do one more and then I'll answer some more. Actually, let me do questions right now. I changed my mind. Let's see here. Let's see. Tyler, I can't answer your question because it has some bad words in it. Let's go with the next question. Here we go. Marinia says, please could you describe the pattern on your shirt? What do you call those squares? So this is called plaid. This is a plaid shirt. A plaid shirt generally has lines and squares on it. So we would call this a plaid shirt. It is a plaid shirt. I'm trying to type this nicely. Excuse me. I'm not going to lose my voice. It's fine. Oh, I slurped my water. I'm sorry. I made the slurping sound. I know some of you don't like the slurping sound, but it's good to learn the word slurp, right? So everything has a good reason behind it. Let's see. Ulysses says, good morning, Bob. You should describe a sociopath, or you could describe a sociopath. I know 2 points: superficial charm and high intelligence or good intelligence, and lack of remorse and shame. So for those of you that don't know, a sociopath is someone who repeatedly commits a crime. Usually it's a crime against a person or people, and they are very, very bad people. And part of the description of them is they're usually quite friendly. I don't know a lot about sociopaths, but they're usually quite friendly, but they're also very, I would say, almost evil people. Evil is like the worst kind of bad that you can be. Let's see. Next question is from Amin. Amin Albiscuit says, hi teacher, you broke my heart. How can we say this differently? Like, I didn't expect this from you. So when we express emotions, especially the emotions of love to people, in English, we're very, very careful about it. We wouldn't often say directly to someone, you know, you broke my heart. You might say this at the end of a relationship with someone, but when you are first telling someone that you like them, generally, at the beginning, this is Bob the Canadian gives dating advice. I'm not the best person, but generally at the beginning of a relationship, it's just good to tell the person that you really like them. Like, you know, I really like spending time with you. So if you're starting to date a guy or a girl, it is probably not a good idea to go into saying things like, I love you, you're so beautiful, you broke my heart. It's probably better at the beginning of a relationship to say, you know, I really love spending time with you. You're so fun to hang out with. And then just let the relationship grow from there. Hey, Sean from Free 99 English is here. I'm not sure if you caught that, Sean. I was just giving dating advice. I'm not the best person to give relationship advice, but hey, it's all part of learning English. Let's see. Next question, and then we'll move on with the lesson. Jolly Kumar Sharma says, my question is, how do you describe a person who always, I'm going to say, shows smartness? I would say there's a number of ways. You could say the person is intelligent. You could say the person is smart. You could say the person is bright. You could say the person is brilliant. You could say the person has a good intellect. There's a number of ways to describe someone in English who is smart. Generally, though, we just say, oh, you know, she's a really smart person. Or, oh, have you talked to her? She is amazingly intelligent. She is highly intelligent. That's another one. We say highly intelligent. That's a great question, by the way. Let's see here. Maria has the next question. It's good to hear, Sean. Maria says, hi, Bob. First of all, thanks for your classes. No problem, Maria. My question is there a difference between clumsy and klutz? So slightly, we would describe a person as being clumsy, Okay, so a clumsy person. But if we wanted to use a noun to describe that person, we would say they are a klutz. Okay, sometimes I'm a klutz. A klutz is a person who is very clumsy. Okay, so a klutz would lift this glass of water and then accidentally spill it. I'm glad I didn't actually spill it, but I'll take a little drink anyways. So, slight difference, just the difference would be, you would say it is a clumsy person or that person is a klutz, and it would mean the same. Klutz is a little bit of an insult though, so you have to be careful with that one. Like I wouldn't just go around describing people as a klutz unless you know them really, really well. Sarah says, Bob, could you please describe yourself? Yes, I am. I think I'm okay when it comes to being smart. I'm smart enough to do my job. I think I would describe myself as ambitious. I like to learn new things. I would describe myself as being a curious person. I am often curious about new things in the world. And then I would also describe myself as, I was gonna say, someone who is always hungry. That's not exactly a good description of a person, but let's move on though. Enough about me. That's a great saying in English, by the way. When you're having a conversation and someone is asking you a lot of questions about yourself, and you're getting tired of answering them, you can say, but enough about me. How was your day? So it's a good transition. You just say, well, enough about me. How was your last trip? So anyways, there are people who are eager. So eager people are always excited to get started on something new and to do something new. So for instance, if you are eager and the teacher says, we're going to go on a class trip tomorrow, you would probably jump for joy. You can see this lady, she's happy and she's like, yeah, this is not a mean thing always. It can be like cheerful, like, yeah. So she is eager and she's also excited. So, but eager in particular applies to doing new things. So someone can be eager to go on a trip. They're eager to try new food. So an eager person is quite excited to try new things. We have this word. I won't say which of my children was fussy, just in case they watch this video later, but children can be fussy. A fussy person is someone who, let's say you gave a child 4 different kinds of food on their plate and they only ate 1 and they didn't like the other 3, you would say that the child is fussy. So the child is kind of picky. That's another word we use. I think it's actually in my lesson later on. But a fussy person is very particular. A fussy person only wears a certain kind of clothes. They need their clothes cleaned and ironed every time. A fussy person, they'll only drink a certain kind of coffee because they're really fussy. And they're very particular and they're very picky. I think that's choosy. That's a good one. Jolly just said choosy person. Yeah, I think that works as well. But kids definitely can be fussy. Some of my kids are still a little bit fussy. The next word we have is impulsive. So an impulsive person does new things sometimes without thinking about the consequences. Impulsive person, Sean has a good example there. He says, hey Bob, I'm late for the live stream because my daughter was fussy with her breakfast and missed the bus. Yeah, so children can be fussy sometimes. But when you're impulsive, it means you do things without thinking about what might come next. So an impulsive person might, after work, they might go and they might just take a different bus to get home because they thought, hey, I'll just try this bus instead of this bus. An impulsive person might go to the mall to buy some clothes and then decide to go see a movie, even though they weren't planning on seeing a movie when they first went to the mall. So an impulsive person just does things or decides to do things out of the blue. So that's another good English phrase. They'll just decide all of a sudden, you know what? Hey, we're at the mall. Let's go see a movie. So an impulsive person does things, I want to say without thinking, but it doesn't always mean that. It means that they feel an emotion and then they follow it right away. So actually someone asked if it means emotional. A little bit, but it's quick emotions and making decisions. That's what impulsiveness is. I'm not sure I described that one very good. Sorry, guys. That reminds me, I wanted to mention, I often call you guys, and guys is usually used for boys, but it's also used for girls. So you guys has become gender neutral for the most part. But anyways, that's just a side point. Let me get a few questions here. Barak has the next question. And it is, hi Bob, my name is Barak. Hi Barak, I'm from Turkey. I hope that you visit my country soon. Someday I will travel, Barak. Anyways, I want to ask you this question. I feel bored or I feel boring. Which is more true? So there's a big difference here. When I'm bored, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do with myself. Like I could read a book, but I don't feel like it. I could watch some TV, but I don't feel like it. So I'm bored, okay? But if I was to say I'm boring, that means that when I'm with other people, they get bored because I'm not an interesting person, okay? So there's a big difference. When you're bored, it means you don't know what to do. So on Saturday afternoons, sometimes I'm bored, okay? I don't know what to do with myself. I might have a nap, I might read a book, but I'm kind of bored and I don't feel like doing anything. But sometimes when I'm with other people, I'm boring, okay? I talk about my job too much. I talk about my YouTube channel too much, and people get tired of listening to me. So they get bored because I'm boring. You don't want to be a boring person. That's not a good idea. Let's do a couple more questions. Brahim has the next one. Brahim says, hi Bob, I'm from Morocco. Hello. You do great work for our English learning. Thanks. And can you tell me the difference between phrase and sentence? So a sentence technically has a subject and a verb, and it starts with a capital letter and it ends with punctuation. A phrase can be part of a sentence, but we do, as English teachers, use them interchangeably. So we'll say, here's a few phrases. So a phrase could be a full sentence, but a sentence usually has subject verb, like I am at work. That is a complete sentence. So next question, let's see here. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Jasvinder says, I recently joined your channel. Well, welcome Jasvinder, welcome to the channel. And I really appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Usually people have, oh, I see what, yes. You're talking about people who are two-faced. People can be two-faced. So a two-faced person is nice to you when you're talking to them, but then later in the day when you're not around, they could be, they could say mean things about you. A two-faced person might be really nice to you, but then maybe your sister knows the same person and they're like, they are totally mean to me. So a two-faced person has like a nice face and then they have a mean face. So it's kind of like we're saying they're two different people, a two-faced person. Let's see here. John Bread. Wait, I'm clicking all the wrong things here. One sec, people. John Bread says, could you explain the difference between courageous and bold? They're the same. Yeah, I would say a bold person is not afraid to do certain things. And a courageous person is also not afraid to do things. Although we use courageous more for people who do things that are heroic. So often we'll describe firefighters as courageous. You know, it was a courageous act. You know, the firefighter ran into the burning building and saved someone. She was very courageous, or he was very courageous. A bold person, it's a little more mild. So a bold person is just confident in their views and they'll speak up when they like to speak up. So courageous is more bold than bold. Let's put it that way. That would be my description of it. Let's see. Next question. So Danielle says, good day to you. Good day to you too, dear teacher Bob. How do you feel? I feel good. Yes, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, by the way. There will be no live stream tomorrow night because it is a holiday weekend in Canada, and I will be at a Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow night. So sorry about that. I know the live lessons have been a little choppy lately, but anyways, back to the question. I would be happy if you could explain the word amused and what is an amused person. So when you are amused, it means that you are being entertained or you find something entertaining. So sometimes my students will do plays in class. They'll write a play and they'll act out the play. And I will be amused while I'm watching the play. That means I'm laughing and smiling and I think the play is really, really well done. So that is being amused. If something amuses you, we would say it is amusing. Okay, so I was amused because the play was amusing. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, nonchalant. That's a good one. Gabo PJ says, hello, Bob. How can I use the phrase nonchalant? So if you are nonchalant, it's hard to say that word, eh? If you are nonchalant, it means you don't really care too much about what people think of your clothes and you're a pretty relaxed person. When you're nonchalant, you get up and you don't really care what your hair looks like. You just put on some clothes and walk to the coffee shop and you take life easily when you're nonchalant. Next question. Ginny. Ginny says, hello, Bob. Hello, Ginny. Nice to see that you got your voice back. Thank you. Is there a word that we can use to describe someone who gets easily upset? Well, funny you should ask. The next word is irritable. So a person who is irritable gets angry or upset really easily. When I don't have enough sleep, when I'm really tired, I am irritable. So things that normally wouldn't bother me, when I'm irritable, those things really bother me. So a good example would be sometimes my children take things out of the refrigerator and they take out the cheese and they cut some cheese and then they go eat the cheese and they leave the cheese on the counter instead of putting it back in the refrigerator. Some days that doesn't bother me. I just wrap the cheese up and put it back in the fridge. But some days when I'm irritable, I'm like, who left the cheese out on the counter? So that was a great question, by the way. It led right into this one. The next word we have is, I'm gonna pause for a sec. Hi to everyone who is here. We almost have 600 people. That is awesome. If you want to give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. If you're new here, you should click the subscribe button. It's that red button over there. I think it's over there. And you will be notified when I do live lessons and release videos. And if you are having trouble understanding some of this, please watch it again tomorrow with the subtitles on. There will be subtitles on this video permanently in about 12 hours. But let's get to the next word. Long-winded. Earlier we talked about how sometimes when I talk to people, they get bored because I can be a little bit boring because I like to talk about my YouTube channel. Someone who is long-winded, I'm picturing this lady as being long-winded. A long-winded person talks and talks and talks and doesn't let you, what we say, get a word in edgewise. So a long-winded person talks so much that you don't get to respond or ask questions. So that's a great phrase, by the way. When someone is long-winded, it's hard to get a word in edgewise. It's hard to get your turn to talk when you're talking with someone who is long-winded. I am very long-winded. Sometimes when I start talking with someone, I talk too much. And it makes the conversation not go well. So some of you asked me to describe myself. Here's another word that describes me. I can be long-winded. So again, a long-winded person talks and talks and they don't stop talking. So it's hard to have a nice conversation with them because it means talkative. Very, very true. Meticulous. I'll say this one again. Meticulous. A meticulous person likes to have everything perfect. So you can see this is a spice cabinet, and this person is meticulous. They have all of their spices in a row. I think they're spices. Let's see here. Black pepper, parsley, yes. They have all of their spices in a row. They have all of the labels facing forward so you can read what spice it is. They have everything very tidy. So a meticulous person, I see a number of people in the chat saying that they are long-winded, so that's funny. It's good to be long-winded when you're practicing English, and that's for sure. Anyways, a meticulous person likes everything very orderly, okay? So at home, they will have all their shoes in a nice, tidy row. Meticulous people like to put things in rows. The best kind of people to hire if you need an accountant is someone who is meticulous with numbers, okay? So it's very good to have people who help you with finances who are meticulous because they're very, very orderly. I just see in the comments someone saying that my class is the best. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for not being negative. So a negative person, you see this person saying no, but a negative person, it's more than just someone who says no a lot. A negative person, excuse me, is pessimistic. A negative person is always seeing the bad side of things. So you might say, oh, my son got his driver's license. And a negative person would say, well, they'll probably smash up your car. You might say to a negative person, would you like to come over for dinner? And the negative person might say, oh, you're probably going to try and sell me something. So a negative person is always looking at things in a poor light. So we use light to describe that as well. So a negative person just isn't happy. They'll find something wrong with almost anything that they do. Negative people aren't really nice. And I'll be honest, I am negative sometimes, okay? The same as when I said, when I'm tired, I'm irritable. Also, when I'm tired, I become a little bit negative. It's not very nice. So the next word is nosy. This is your nose, but if you're nosy, and there's two spellings, by the way. I generally use this one, but both work. A nosy person is always trying to find out about you, okay? So they're like, what movie did you go see? Who did you go see the movie with? What time did you go see the movie? So a nosy person is always wanting to know about your life and what you are doing. Sometimes you might have a brother or sister who is really, really nosy. So they're always calling you on the phone and asking about your life. What did you have for dinner? What are you doing tonight? Where are you going on your next vacation? So yes, so Manati says, thanks Manati, wish karma is someone who pokes their nose in everywhere, is a nosy person. So that's why I have this picture of this girl and she's watching all of these screens just to kind of give you the idea that, you know, a nosy person is always, is someone who doesn't mind their own business. Nosy people should mind their own business. So in English, we have a phrase, mind your own business. Excuse me. And when we say mind your own business, it means, you know, stop thinking about my life and think about your own life. An orderly person is very similar to a meticulous person. So they like everything to be orderly and in a nice row. And you see here the hangers, these are coat hangers. It's like white, green, white, green. So the orderly person kind of made a pattern as well. We also have the word outspoken. So an outspoken person, this lady is just talking about everything. An outspoken person just expresses their opinion very quickly and easily. They don't mind saying what they think about anything. A popular person, I think this is Brad Pitt. A popular person is someone that everyone knows. So an actor or actress can be very popular. We also have, you might watch a TV show that takes place in a high school, and we have students who are popular. The popular students are the students that everybody knows. We're almost done, by the way, and I think my voice will last that long. So a popular person is someone that everyone knows. We kind of talked about this one already when we talked about someone who is fussy, but a picky person. So if you were to choose from these pineapples, some people would just grab one and go. They would grab the first one they see. But a picky person would take some time. They would stand and they would look at each pineapple and they would choose the one that they think is the best one. So a picky person takes their time when they have to choose or pick something. A quiet person is someone who is calm, is someone who likes to spend time by themselves. Someone who appreciates being out in nature would be a quiet person, and someone who doesn't like to always have conversations with people. So quiet people like to spend time with themselves. Yeah, Minotti says, please drink warm water and take vitamin C, Bob. Yes, I am on the end part of being sick, so I will do that for sure, Minotti, for sure. I think that's very realistic of you, by the way. A realistic person is good at planning things. And gives good advice, and they are aware that, so Minotti thinks, it sounds like Bob the Canadian has a sore throat. He should drink some warm water and have some vitamin C. I'm sorry, I don't mean to start coughing and everything. We're almost done though. Let's do a few more. A shy person gets embarrassed really easily. A talented person is really good at art or music or playing a sport. So if you are talented, you are really, really good at something. An unpleasant person is just angry all the time or upset all the time. It's not nice to be around someone who is unpleasant. I try to be pleasant, but sometimes I should make a video someday about English phrases that unpleasant people say. We also have people who are respected. So usually older people in our society are respected because we consider them to be wise and they have a lot of experience. So a respected person is someone who, like your parents or your grandparents, you might have a lot of respect for them. So we would say that they are a respected person. And then we have an observant person. So someone who is observant is really good at noticing things. So an observant person, if they see a crime, they would probably remember the license plate number of the car. This is the last one, by the way. So an observant person is just really good at noticing things. That's it. That is the end of the lesson. I know we have a couple minutes left. I'll do just a couple questions. Let's see here. Anaz says, from Iran, how can we describe people who can do every piece of technical work like you? We call them techies. So a techie is a person who is good with technology. So it's an informal word, but we would call that person a techie. Let's see here. I was framed says, what would you call a person who procrastinates a lot? Lazy. Yeah, I think you could call them lazy. So, hey, anyways, I'm going to wrap this lesson up. Thank you so much for watching. Again, there is no live lesson tomorrow. I think I need to rest my voice anyways. There will be a new video Tuesday though. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that red button. Give me a like if you could. Do watch this video tomorrow with the subtitles on. It's just a great way to practice your listening. And a lot of you, I know, put the video on in the background and have it playing at work or while you're cooking a meal, just so that you can hear my voice again. That's a great idea as well. I hope you have a really good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving in Canada this weekend. I look forward to spending a lot of time with family. Sean is saying, have a good Thanksgiving. Thanks, Sean. I hope you do too. Todd, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you to the 600 people. It's crazy when I see that number that have come out to watch, and I hope you all have a good weekend. I will definitely rest my voice between now and next week, Friday, and I will be in full 100% health then. So have a good weekend. Bye, everybody. I'm going to push the button now.